Winter time. Cold, snow, lots of snow. I love it. Look at that. You can see how much snow is on the chairs. Yeah, we got hit pretty good. You know, I have some of my favorite fond memories of winter time. Years ago when I was a teenager in high school, and we used to have snow like this, you know, pretty much all winter. None of this 60-degree weather or 50-degree weather in the wintertime. It was cold. Yeah. I was outside in front of my house shoveling the sidewalk, and I think I was a freshman at the time, but two of the older kids from high school, upper grades, kind of knew them, not really, but came up, tried starting some shit with me. So I took the snow shovel and smacked one of them. The other one started running home. The one that I smacked ended up, I guess, telling his father. During dinner time, the doorbell rings, and it's the kid that I hit with the snow shovel and his father. His father says to my father, "Your son hit my kid." My father looked at me, asked me, "Is this true?" I said, "Yes." My father said, "Good," and closed the door. Hey everybody, what's going on? Hope you guys are doing good. I am doing just great. Yeah, what a mess. I've been busy over here working on the Gelvin Orion. I've got some parts that have showed up. I've got some more parts that are coming in. Hopefully some of them will be in today. So let's kind of look at what's been going on over here. I have to retract a comment that I made about this guitar, and one of the things that was done by the previous owner, not by Gelvin himself. So the epoxy inlays that were put on the neck, the glow-in-the-dark inlays, I end up replacing them. I haven't done anything with the fretboard just yet, but I made a comment saying that he used the remainder, you know, whatever was left over from doing the neck inlays, and poured it into the pockets of the pickups. Well, that wasn't true. Okay, so I didn't know this, but when I ended up making my last video, the previous owner of this right now ended up stating that he put the glow-in-the-dark epoxy inside of the pickups over here, which is kind of good because he did raise them up quite a bit. And from what I was seeing under the epoxy, like especially on this one here, it was cut very, very deep, number one. I'm trying to measure this thing out to make sure that the depth of the pickup is correct for the way that I want to mount these pickups, and they were cut way too deep. So it's kind of a good thing that he did do that, but I did also still have to add more epoxy in here to raise this up more. Fixing the outlines of the pickups themselves, the cavity, especially this one over here, which was cut up and got rounded up pretty good, missing some wood over here completely. Now I'm using what's called wood epoxy. I'm also using what's called liquid wood on this, and liquid wood is more of an epoxy resin than anything else. It's not it's kind of like with the epoxy resin that I was using on coating guitars and stuff, but it's also used for or with the wood epoxy. So you would clean up whatever is going on with the wood itself, where you have loose paint or anything else, brush on the wood epoxy, the liquid epoxy, and then put the wood epoxy over that. It just gives it something a little bit more stronger to bond to. And I've done a little bit with that over here, not a lot. I haven't changed anything with the bridge yet. I still want to put some tuners on there. I've got some black Goto locking tuners. Now these are straddled, so at the top of the headstock over here, these three here will have the shorter posts, and then these three here will have the longer posts. Just making sure that when the string goes through the nut, that the strings kind of get pulled downwards towards the posts. I probably will still have to add a string tree over here, or a retainer. I'm not too sure. I'll have to look into that once I get this thing all put together. Now, I want to show you a little bit of what I did here, and looking at some of the Gelvin guitars. Now, this had a kind of like a shelf over here where you would put a locking nut for like a Floyd Rose system. Now it has been curved, and there is a room here just for a bone nut or whatever type of nut that's going to go on here. I ended up doing some sanding. I found a lot of traces of epoxy in these holes after sanding off the white paint. Now, I asked the previous owner if he painted this white, and he said no, so Gelvin ended up painting this white, but I'm seeing traces of epoxy resin in a lot of these holes, so not too sure if Wally in a Box did that or if it was something that Gelvin did, but since it's under the paint, I would kind of say that maybe Gelvin ended up doing it. All right, so this area over here where there was a nice little ledge where the neck and the body kind of didn't meet up very well, so that's nice and flat right now. This is all nice and smooth. This has got a nice curve to it over here now because I ended up rebuilding this. This side here I still have to fix. I got some filler inside here right now, and I'll end up sanding that smooth, and it helps with basically keeping from getting into the fretboard and sanding that into that and making like a gouge or anything over here. So this is really nice and smooth. You don't even feel the transition from neck to body. Also on the back here, straightened out all of the weird cutout. You can kind of see how it was cut out, how it's all wavy over here between the wood epoxy and the wood itself. So instead of putting a plastic, now this is going to get painted. It's not going to get stained. It's not going to get dyed or anything else. It's going to get painted. So what I'm wanting to do is I wanted to make a cover on here that I'm going to paint. So what I ended up doing, piece of wood, sits flush. I know it's a different type of wood, but after it gets painted, you're really not going to notice the difference of it. So I got this over here so I can pull this up real easy. It fits in there really nice. Not a lot of play, a little bit, enough room for paint and clear coat. So I have a whole new different system that's going to come for the, instead of putting the ferrules inside here, I've got a bar that's going to go over here. It gets in, basically indented into the wood, and I want to make sure again that the bridge is where it's supposed to be before I start doing any cutting with that. I don't know what type of paint is on here as far as this white, but it doesn't sand off very easily. It is very, very thick, and it's kind of a pain in my ass to remove in order to get this thing down to wood. Now I have a few cans of what the hell is it called? It's a sanding sealer. Mohawk sanding sealer, which is lacquer, and that is going to go over all of this once I get done putting the veneer on here. I'm going to re-veneer this with a quilt. I'm going to end up staining or dyeing that quilt and then sanding it back, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the sanding sealer all over this. I got to correct these holes. I want to drill out the epoxy that's inside these holes, and I want to plug them with wood, do it the right way. Still have to fix the epoxy that's inside here, get rid of that, but I'm a little worried about how thin this is over here. Once I get one of these holes drilled out, I got an output jack that's going to come for this thing, and I think it's going to be the right one. And I still have to do some work on the fretboard, which this will be last. So once I get the body, the neck sanded, final sanding, then I'll go ahead and we'll start working on this neck and get this thing, make sure it is at a 12-inch radius or whatever it's supposed to be. I haven't marked it or checked it yet. And so I was kind of looking at this, and when you look at these lines here, now this is supposed to be a flat surface, okay? And when you sand a flat surface, anything that's on an edge on it should be nice and straight, should be nice and smooth. It should have a nice line to it. And after sanding, like especially like over here, you kind of see that the line that's over here isn't quite at a nice curve. You know, even over here it's the same way. It's not sharp. So when I started removing the paint over here, I got a nice curved line over here. This line over here looks pretty good. It's got some nice wave to it, so it's not too bad. But it looks like in a lot of these areas where I'm supposed to be sanding flat, I'm going to have to sharpen the edges and straighten them out. So there's going to be a lot of detail sanding that's going to be done with this once I get it ready before painting and everything else. So that's it. That's about it. Back is stripped. A little bit of wood filler that was put inside here. And I didn't do that. Somebody else did. Got, again, nice curve over here compared to how wavy the line is over here and then over here. This over here where the belly cut is nice and sharp. It has no waves in it. It's got just a nice feel to it. And soon it'll be ready for getting some type of a paint and finish on there. Now the one thing that was on the back of this neck, the whole neck, including the top and the headset, I don't know if Wally in the Box did it or if the previous owner did it, but there was a very thin epoxy finish on the back of the neck and the headstock. And how I noticed was when I started sanding it, it was like tearing with sanding. It wasn't like sanding into a powder. It was like tearing. So I gotta figure out, make sure that all of that is off of here. I mean, there's nothing left. And I kind of feeling that it is, you know, this area over here, there's a little spot right over here that still has it. I got a feeling that that is something that maybe Gelvin did as a clear coat, an epoxy clear coat or something. Still has some of it over here that I have to remove when I finish this corner. So that's what's going on. It is getting worked on. I have been kind of working on it behind the scenes over here, gathering parts. Like I said, I got more parts coming. And yeah, so hopefully this will turn out to be a real nice guitar once it's done. All right, you guys, take it easy. Have a good one. It's Sunday. Getting back into things with the swing of Monday coming along and back into a new week. All right, you guys, take it easy. Have a good one.